Let the meltdown begin. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. Zak Cummings going to step up and in to throw it down with us this evening. As you can tell, we've got a Halloween-themed addition to the program. Joey Oddessa is going to join us from Costa Rica, and Oddessa is always scary to begin with. We got some kick-ass videos of the week as well. We're going to break down the Bellator pay-per-view. All that and more on tonight's MMA Meltdown. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues this Halloween-themed edition of MMA Meltdown. As you know what, there's a ton of great fights coming up, a lot of anticipation as far as George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks is concerned, November the 16th. But a couple of weeks after that, they're going to be throwing it down at Mandalay once again as the Ultimate Fighter finale goes down. And we're now joined by a man who will be fighting on November the 30th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Zak Cummings joins us. Zak, welcome to MMA Meltdown. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing good.
So the fight's about a month away right now. At what stage of your camp are you at right now, man?
Still full force, going hard every day and just working our game plans out and just out in the gym banging every day. Now,
your debut at 170 in the UFC was obviously a very successful one, but man, you fought Ryan Jimmo at light heavyweight. That's a huge discrepancy. Is it tough cutting that much weight for you? What do you normally walk around at? And man, you become a master of this weight cut stuff.
I started this camp at about 208. I used to walk around quite a bit heavier, around 220, 225, just fat, unhealthy living, and, thought I was unbeatable, didn't really care. I mean, I still cut a lot of weight to make middleweight, but I could always fight at 205 on short notice, and which pretty much what happened with Ryan Jimmo. I took that fight on about a week notice, and, went in there, and what happened, but 170 is definitely where I need to be, fighting guys at this level, and I feel great at that weight, and I'm happy to be at my new home.
That's the biggest difference, isn't it, between even good regional fighters and guys that are in the UFC, isn't it, that, as you stated, maybe you thought you were out of shape, you're a fat guy, you're not eating well, but you're winning fights. You can get by on your toughness. Now everybody's tough, right? You can't just get by on being a tough guy anymore.
For sure, man. There's not an easy fight out there. I mean, if you're not on, you're in trouble. So, at this stage in the game, you have to find every bit of edge that you can possibly find. If it's, for me, I actually think welterweight's one of the toughest weight classes in the world. But if I'm performing better at that weight, then I'm all for trying it. So I just want to do what's best for me.
Now, you grabbed yourself a submission of the night against Ben Alloway, and with it came the nice bonus. Am I right in assuming that other than probably having to buy, James and Tim lunch, that camp's a little bit easier? You don't have to worry about gas in the truck, food in the fridge, etc. Has it made it a little bit easier for you, getting, a little gas in the tank, literally and figuratively?
For sure. It definitely made life a little easier. I've, got my wife here at home with me, and, we've had our arguments of, is this really a career? And, she's been with me through, thick and thin where, I had a 6-fight contract with Strikeforce and, do them a favor and take a fight on short notice against Tim Kennedy, take my first loss ever, and then they pull the contract underneath me. She seems like things like that, and nothing's really set in stone here. So in order to kind of see how, the big boys at the UFC play ball, and, they fight for their fighters and, give away bonuses like that. And it kind of won things over with her more than anything. So that was what I was so happy about.
Yeah, that if I was fighting and, my wife didn't like it either, I'd be like, honey, this is Lorenzo Fertitta, this is Dana White, and look at the cars these guys are driving. And, I'd be trying to sell that big time. Now, you're fighting a tough dude right now, a guy who's also fought at heavier weight classes in the past, and arguably, really, one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in all of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, for sure. Sergio is amazing on the ground. Can't take that away from him. If we go into a gi jiu-jitsu match, I will probably say I'm probably going to lose. This is not gi jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu play carries over to MMA very well, but I really don't think I'm a slouch on the ground either, especially in the no-gi area in the MMA world. So I'm not really worried about it. Obviously, I'm game planning to try to minimize his jiu-jitsu as much as possible, but I've got a lot of power, and once I hit this guy, it's going to be hard for him to really figure out how to get a hold of me and submit me. So my confidence is pretty high right now, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm not a coach, I'm not a trainer, and I hate playing one. But when you look at Sergino, he leaves himself open. It's like he doesn't mind eating a couple of shots, and it seems like he's got a pretty good chin. But I think because of his jiu-jitsu so good, he's insistent, no, I can stand. I look at this fight, and it's a classic, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy against the American Midwest, Americana heart, man, wrestling. And, I'm looking forward to this fight big time.
Me too. Yeah, I'm actually really happy that fighting Sergio. I'm a fan of his. Like, he's one of those, he goes out and he'll just, he takes shots, he's smiling the whole time. I'm always having a good time when I'm fighting, so I really enjoy competing against people like that. It's not personal to me. The weigh-ins I had, my debut, I had Benny Alloway getting in my face and, try to get on that side of me, and it just, I don't know, it just aggravates me, and I don't really care for people that do that stuff. But, this guy, he loves the sport. He loves going out there and have fun doing it. And he's smiling the whole time and gets all amped up, and me too. And so I'm really kind of excited to fight a competitor like that.
Now, you seem like the type of dude, you want to let your fighting speak for yourself. You don't want to be a clown outside the octagon. And it seems like in past couple of years, the guys that are silent and just go about their business almost get looked over. And I read an interview with you, and what you said earlier in your career, you were wondering, should I run my mouth more or something? Because I'm kind of flying out of the radar. But it seems to me that your teammates are kind of flying out of the radar as well. And, you got that East Coast bias. Everybody talks, about, TriStar, Montreal, and justifiably so, and Jackson. And, people talk about, the alpha male guys on the West Coast, etc. But seems like there's a big void, so to speak, in flyover land, as they say in the Midwest, in which guys just don't talk about your gyms, and they don't really talk about you guys as fighters very much.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I remember the interview you were talking about, and, there was a point where, and it really still kind of bugs me to this day that, I don't go out there and mouth the whole lot. I don't act like a complete idiot all the time. And, I've had my moments, don't get me wrong, but,
we all have.
I don't know. I really take myself as a professional, and I want people to look up to me, and I want, to be proud, with what I've done and everything. And if that has to, I don't want to have to become a different person just to make it in this sport. I understand they've got to sell tickets. They've got, we fight for fans. You got to gain fans. And honestly, I think me just being me, I'll have a good enough size fan base as soon as they get exposed to me. I'm a very humble, down-to-earth person, and I just, I love to go out there and fight, and I love this sport, and, that's just all I like to do. So I definitely feel like the more exposed I've been, I do have a lot of fans coming to me and really respect the type of person that I am, and that's what I really care about. I don't want to gain all these fans knowing that they care about someone who's fake. And so that's kind of the main thing. And for the gym thing, I mean, I really think we're finally starting to get some exposure. Grindhouse MMA, where I'm at here in Kansas City, we've got, next month alone, we have James Krause fighting on the 6th on the Fight for the Troops. We have Tim Elliott fighting on the 16th, who's going to be on the pay-per-view card there with Hendricks and GSP, and then I'm on the 30th. So that's pretty amazing whenever we have, 3 guys in our gym fighting in the same month. It's a good problem to have.
No, it really is. It really is, and a good problem to have. It's also probably a good situation in the gym, isn't it, in which all 3 of you are pretty much on full throttle. You're all on schedule around the same time, maybe not exactly the same time, but I imagine the atmosphere around the gym is pretty intense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody's pushing each other, and we're most of the coaches there also. We also have some of our other coaches around, but we do so well with listening to each other and knowing each other's styles that we really love to help each other and coach each other. So we're definitely feeding off of each other. It's not like we're putting someone on the back burner. We're still, not completely game playing for Tim Elliott's guy, and worked with James on Bobby Green and everything, knowing that I have my fight coming up, and they're doing the same thing for me. So everybody's feeding off of each other with high intensity, and it's pretty much a amazing thing going on right now.
You know what I think is pretty cool for you guys as well is you're sort of judged as a fighter on who your opponents are. And not to take anything away from guys that have fought in the UFC, but I've spoken to old fighters and they're like, man, there's like 800 guys that have now fought in the UFC, but all of you fighting tough dudes. As you mentioned, by Bobby Green, a respected tough dude. With Tim on the pay-per-view, which is a big honor, of a big-ass card. Getting the night started on pay-per-view on a big card. And you fighting Sergino here, who's, well-respected guy coming from Brazil into America, somebody the UFC thinks highly of. As they say, the old saying, you're kind of judged by who your enemies or your nemesis are. But as fighters, I think you are sort of judged. You see what Joe Silva thinks of you guys, and it's pretty high as he's giving you quality opponents.
Yeah, exactly. It's you take the words out of all our mouths, and we've said all of that multiple times. A lot of people don't know is actually the night after my fight with Alloway, my mom took me off to the side and told me that my dad was in the hospital, pretty much living on life support, and they kind of hid that from me for the fight. It happened the night of weigh-ins and everything. He was battling lung cancer and everything, so I really didn't get to enjoy my win as soon as the fight was over. I went and stayed with my dad and took care of him, and Joe Silva actually got a hold of me to fight down in Brazil. Was on the November 9th card, was the first one he offered me against Paulo Thiago. And I'm a huge fan of Paulo Thiago's. And, I didn't know what was going on with my dad yet. I actually had to turn the fight down because I was being the caregiver for my dad until his final days, which, he passed away about a month ago now. And
my condolences.
It was a huge honor for me because I'm a big Paulo Thiago fan. I think he's incredibly tough. Respected him, in and out of the cage. His job that he does down in Brazil is pretty, shows how much of a badass that man is. So
yeah,
that kind of showed me that that's where they put me with with the guys here and at the UFC, and then after that, they offered me the fight I had now. So I definitely feel like they've got high hopes for me and everything, but. I don't know. So it's kind of cool how they're putting up with all tough opponents.
Zach, I want to offer you my condolences for the passing of your father. Last week we had Mike Oddessa on the program, actually, and my father died basically like the same week his did. And, we talked about that experience on the program. We got a lot of positive feedback from the show. So it sort of floored me. You bring this up as well. I was unaware. So, I hate when people say, I know what you went through, et cetera, but I kind of do. I know what you went through a little bit. So, my condolences to you, man.
I appreciate it. And it's definitely hard going from, fight mode to taking care of him straight back to fight mode. But, I definitely feel like I have something to fight for, and a little extra drive kind of pushing me. And
You still got something to prove, don't you? That's it. And in your business, a lot of people say, oh, you're only as good as your last fight. That's bogus, because nobody cares about the last fight. You're really only as good as the next fight, aren't you, in your industry? You know, it doesn't matter what you did in the last fight. It's all about the next fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can have an amazing win, but you can, just take that and run with it. If you want to be anywhere, if you want to, try to make a solid run and see how far you can go. I mean, you got to keep taking fights and keep taking those chances. You know, you can't go out and win one big one, then just try to take the ride with it. I mean, sometimes it's good to enjoy the ride and everything for a little bit, but I mean, if you want to be something, you definitely have to get right back in there and make yourself better and be ready for the next one.
Zak Cummings with us, facing Sergio Moraes on November the 30th, the Ultimate Fighter finale. Before we let you go, have you watched Team Rousey versus Team Tate much at all? It's kind of, you've been on the Ultimate Fighter before, but it's kind of funny. You're on this card, but you're not on this show right now. So have you seen the show at all this year?
I have. I've DVR'd it. Had to go back and rewatch it later on at night, but I've tried to keep up with it a little bit. I'm really happy with and thankful for the Ultimate Fighter finally giving me my chance, and I feel like that's kind of how I got to the UFC. So definitely trying to keep up. I'm a fan of the show and keeping up with them. So I mean, I'll tell you what, the chicks are throwing down, man. Those girl fights are definitely pretty fun to watch.
They really are. And, I was going to say to you earlier, there's nothing worse than fake heat. I hate when fighters, and then after, I was just trying to sell it and stuff. I hate that stuff. But seems like with Tate and Rousey, Rousey seems to hate everybody, and Tate doesn't seem to like Rousey very much. So it seems to be real heat there, actually.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can definitely tell it's real. I mean, being in that setting, and there's cameras always around you, you don't really know what's being filmed, what's not. I mean, it's, there was a couple extra cameras around and stuff, so that, there's a chance that it might be on, but you're completely on camera all the time. You can't be fake for so long, so you can definitely tell that stuff is real. Rhonda came into our season and taught a class and everything, kind of hung out, and she's a real chick, man. I mean, she's very focused. She's tough. She just acts like one of the guys. She don't go in there and all feminine and stuff. She's a hard ass, and she's a cool chick. But you can definitely tell she's real. And I really feel like her camp is kind of fits her very well. So I mean, they're not going to lie to your face and then go talk behind your back like most people will. So I mean, they're what they're saying is, they mean it, but I think it definitely kind of comes off a little bad on screen, but it happens. Yeah,
it's TV. They want to characterize everybody and edit it the way they see fit. Zak, hey, well, great having you on the show for the first time. It definitely won't be the last. Let's talk after your victory on November the 30th. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us, man.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on.
There's Zak Cummings with us, Grindhouse Gym, kicking some serious ass right now. In fact, you know what? Entire state of Missouri is on a roll right now. Their football teams, Missouri Tigers, Kansas City Chiefs, St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. Michael Chandler, of course, throwing it down later this week. And we're going to break that down with Joey Oddessa, Chandler Alvarez 2. MMA Meltdown of the Fight Network continues. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. I am Gabriel Morency. Thanks to Zak Cummings for joining us on the program. We wish him the best of luck on November the 30th. All right, before we get to Joey Oddessa in Costa Rica and crunch some numbers and break down the Bellator free card, no longer a pay-per-view, it's time for our videos of the week. And we're kicking it old school tonight with our videos of the week. We've got 5 videos, 5 fingers and a punch, 5 videos tonight on MMA Meltdown, and they're all awesome, each and every one of them. So without further ado, let's start off with a little, Pitbull Jiu-Jitsu.
Hey everybody, this is Gene and Koa, my training partner, coming from Gracie, Baja Temecula in California. And today we're going to go over a couple basic techniques. Number one of the fundamental principles of jiu-jitsu is never be intimidated by the way your partner looks, because jiu-jitsu is the game changer. All right, so let's go over a couple techniques. See if I can get Koa. All right, jump up, Koa. All right. So one of the things you're going to do, you're going to be playing guard like this. Your opponent's going to be trying to break the guard. All right, so one of the things you can do is take control of his left sleeve, hip escape, and then scissor sweep. Come up in full mount. A lot of times what your opponent will do is he'll push you off, get control of this sleeve, come here to almost like a Z guard, push down into space, and boom, you got the armbar. All right. Good hip escape.
This is a pit bull he's doing this with,
if
man.
You get your opponent here with one arm in and his head in, then you can begin to lock the triangle. Here you got a lot of solutions.
This poor dog.
You can arm bar, pull the head down.
You mean paw bar, not arm bar. It's a paw bar.
He might try to come back up. He might try to posture up. If you lose position, remember you can always go for side control. Side control. Here. Nice and tight. And then from here to the full mount. All right, if he rolls over, you've always got the rear naked choke. All right.
It's the rear naked dog choke, man.
Koa. This is jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that video is just awesome. I don't know, though. I don't know how many people are going to be rolling around with a pit bull in that position. What's next? Shark jiu-jitsu? Like, seriously. We're just going to, we got the, here's the fin guard. Got some shark back with the fin. I love that. Here, arm bar. You mean a paw? It's a paw bar, dude. And clearly the dog, didn't have a problem with it. But people do not attempt that at home, please, please, or especially do not attempt that with a strange pit bull on the street. All right, we got some great videos of the week this week, including one in which this is a Superman punch. Dude goes flying through the wall. Check it out.
Superman punch, you gotta set it up, throw a couple leg kicks, get the guy to react to your leg kicks. Then go here, fake the leg kick, and your hips is like a pendulum. The leg comes up and he explodes forward. If you had something to push against, then you could really drive your hand forward.
Let me go see.
Run!
Justin, what happened? What happened?
That's it. Hey, man. Whoa. You all right?
Now look right here. Look, he looks before the dude goes through the wall. What kind of world are we living in where we can't trust a damn video on YouTube? It's a fake. This video is faker than that pregnant woman fainting in the rose garden. Fake, 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 fake. Not a bad video, though, nevertheless. All right, where are we going now? All right, we're going down a dark and dangerous place here, into the mindset of Jason Mayhem Miller, who used to be this cool, funny type of dude on MTV that didn't like bullies. Now he's the freaking bully. You know, Jason, I used to like you. I didn't mind you getting wasted, running around naked in a church. I could look the other way. I didn't have a problem with that. I've been wasted out of my mind before. I've never, woken up on somebody else's couch like you did. Although I did once get into a big fight with two girls in a hotel room, actually. I actually walked into a hotel room, and these two hot chicks, I think they were hookers, were in my room. And I was like, wow, did somebody send me a gift? And so I said, who are you? What are you doing in my room? And they start freaking out. Get the F out of here. Who are you? I'm like, who am I? You're in my damn room. And I was staying in this hotel. There were 2 towers. They looked the same. I was on the wrong, I was in the wrong tower. It really was their room. So I sympathized with Mayhem Miller up to a point, but there's no room for his racist ass. Ban this guy.
Riot, stop.
Back up. Back up.
Uriah, stop.
Remember we showed the video of Mayhem Miller pranking somebody at EA Sports like he was snapping about his low fighter rating in the video game? You know, now that the dude's past it. Uriah Hall's minding his own business, and but he's got to deal with N-bombs and being called a bitch from Mayhem Miller. It's just too much. And Miller, you're not doing yourselves any favors. All right, this is from Kuwait. We're all over the globe here this evening. This is from Kuwait. I haven't seen so many people in the ring since a Floyd Mayweather entrance. Check out the Iron Sheik. He's in the middle of it all. Now we got fighters, we got trainers, we got like royalty. Jim Ross. All hell is broken loose. Come on, for the love of Allah, guys, get it together. All right, that's in Kuwait, so pretty crazy stuff going on over there. Imagine that's going to be some public lashings and whippings for all parties involved. And what would it be without, it can't be our videos of the week segment, without sending it to Russia, where the boys from the Fight Network just got back from the World Combat Games. And, I'm a little disappointed. The Fight Network had great coverage, but I didn't see the Snow Brawl events in the Fight Network coverage. But we got it right here on MMA Meltdown for you. This is why Russians are the craziest people in the world. There's some serious punches being thrown here.
Вставай, блядь! Вставай! Вставай, ёпта!
The voice just said, welcome to Russia. This is put together by the Russian tourist industry. Welcome to Russia, where snow kills you. The Olympics should be no problems at all. no problems at all. Only like 99 days away. Is that a new Olympic event? It might as well be, considering all the sorry-ass events you guys have put in the Olympics. All right, let's talk some betting. Let's give you some winners. When we come back, Joey Oddessa will join me from Costa Rica. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. Let's send it to Costa Rica. The premier combat sport odds maker in the business joins us. I hope you're hungry, people, because it's bagel time. Joey Oddessa steps up and in. What's going on, Joey?
Hey, what's happening tonight, G?
We're doing all right, Joey. We're doing all right. I'm probably amongst the most excited for the Bellator card this upcoming Saturday, because Michael Chandler is a good friend of the program, not just a good friend of the program, but one of the few fighters that we actually consider a good friend. Really looking forward to seeing him beat Eddie Alvarez for the second time, but we'll get to that in a couple of moments' time, Joey. Before we do, let's just hit the rewind button quickly. Lyoto Machida was a big favorite, and he gets it done. Strange stuff with Melvin and Ross Pearson. And they've already announced, of course, there's going to be a rematch. They're going to be fighting in London. We kind of dodged a bullet a little bit there. But from what I understand, Joey, the action was pretty low comparative to past UFC fight night cards.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of volume and handle on this card from what I saw. I mean, the moves were all over the place. We spoke about it earlier in the week, and I said a lot of these big moves with the lines were nonsense moves, and they all came back, the other way late. Melvin's one that looked like it was going to hold up right up until the foul, but hindsight 100%. I mean, Manoa toward Gimo, he beat Gimo. I thought Gimo had a shot in there, but it didn't work out that way. Norman Park, he represented. He beat John Tuck. Tuck gassed. Kind of like you said he would. And, Sakara was just Sakara.
Well, you called Sakara. You and I were both sort of all over the place with this card. We talked about it on the SiriusXM show, and don't forget that's Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern, SiriusXM channel 167, MMA Meltdown Radio, presented by the Fight Network. And I thought Sakara was going to get it done. I was kind of hit or miss with this past card, Joey. I got caught speeding early on Andrew Craig. I didn't see that coming.
No, didn't see it coming. Craig didn't see it coming. I really didn't. I thought Craig would have won that fight, and fortunately before that, Rossi Sexton. I mean, everybody was on Rossi. They took the venue. I think people they don't understand that the venue is already calculated into the number. Just because you see a number and then you say, oh, well, wow, the venue. Well, if that number's been up for 5 days, it's probably a pretty solid number, and it's already taken into consideration because they just didn't figure out that they're fighting in the UK this week.
Yeah, I think it's fitting that you said everybody was all over Sexton, including Andrade's fists were all over Sexton as well. But the take was low. The card was in England. Not a lot of excitement. Mark Munoz really isn't a public type of guy where people got to see him fight. People are sort of bored with Machida at this point in time. And the fact of the matter is, Fox Sports 1 didn't air it because they wanted to show college football. So it was on Fox Sports 2. That hurts the handle. It's the old adage, and you and I know both to be true, Joey. If people can watch it, they'll bet it. If they can't watch it, maybe they won't bet it, even if it's the UFC. So there are a lot of people that I saw on Twitter that were telling me, Morency, I can't get this in the United States because I don't get Fox Sports 2. And even if you're the UFC, you can't mess with college football on a Saturday afternoon, Joey.
Well, I tell you what, we couldn't get it. Normally, we get all the UFCs down here in Central America, and this is one of the rare ones that didn't come on regular TV, on Fox or any of the networks. We couldn't get it.
And it's reflective in the handle. So
absolutely, and that plus, Machida versus Munoz. I mean, two, really nice guys. Mark's one of the nicest guys out there. These guys train together. It's kind of tough, I mean, I always criticize the hugging between rounds. We didn't even get that far, but there wasn't, you got to build these fights up, and it did what it was supposed to do. I mean, it filled a slot, Ultimate
it plugged the hole, yeah.
UFN 30. It worked itself out for these guys, but as far as handle and wagering, it didn't really entice a lot of action.
So Machida's move to 185 was a successful one, and Machida's a weird dude, man. To me, the guy has all the tools. He should be one of the best in the world, but there's something wrong with him in which, he's just so damn inconsistent. But I think we might have found something. Not only the weight cut to 185, he said after the fight that he drank less urine this time, Joey. I think we're on to something. I guess he figured 205, 185. He doesn't need to drink as much piss as he normally does.
Oh, I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I don't care if it make me. Well, everybody's got their price, but I'm not looking without a title belt and 7 digits. I'm not looking to guzzle any pee anytime soon.
Joey Oddessa with us. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll get back down to business. No more urine jokes. We'll talk some Bellator. As shocking development, Tito Ortiz and Rampage isn't happening. But you know what? So freaking what? As we got a kick-ass main event, Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez 2, MMA Meltdown of the Fight Network continues. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues, as does our conversation with the premier combat sport odds maker in the business, Joey Oddessa, joining us from San Jose, Costa Rica. We've got Bellator. Now, of course, it was supposed to be the pay-per-view. Tito Ortiz is out. The fight has been scratched, and the keyboard warriors went crazy on the internet. Look at Bellator. Well, you know what? Ultimately, nobody really cared about Tito Ortiz fighting Rampage Jackson, and now it's on free TV on Spike, so you don't have to stream it because you weren't going to pay for it. So now you can watch it on free TV. It's a kick-ass main card, man. We got 3 championship fights on the card, and the other 2 fights are pretty good fights as well. Let's start at the top with the lightweight championship, the rematch, in which really should have been fight of the year. But Chandler and Alvarez threw it down. I think it was on a Thursday night. And then the next Saturday, Shogun and Dan Henderson had that epic tilt. So it was kind of forgotten about. Great first fight, Joey. It'll be interesting to see if it's a different style of fight this time around, because Michael Chandler is a much better fighter now than he was when they first fought.
Not just that, Eddie went through all those, legal battles and stuff. I mean, that takes its toll on you. I mean, granted, he did fight he fought in October of 2012, but at the same time, I like Chandler again. Chandler's a solid favorite here, too. The time that we're talking right now, I'm looking at minus 220 is probably the lowest out there, and it's as high as minus 270 with Chandler being the favorite. That's almost 3-1. I think it's right. I think Chandler wins again, and arguably, capable of stepping over to the UFC, just like Alvarez tried to do at any time and making, putting a dent in the division at 155. Well,
that's right. You and I both are in agreement that Michael Chandler would be able to fight for the UFC championship, that he is that good. And I'm glad that he gets an opportunity to fight Eddie Alvarez again, because clearly Chandler, he's not fighting guys that are on his level. And, he's crushing guys right away. So he has an opportunity to make a name for himself in this fight. But Chandler's locked in. Chandler's locked into Bellator. They got the right of first refusal. He's kind of their guy. And you know what? Say what you will about Bjorn Rebney. Say what you will about Bellator. But, Chandler's checks haven't bounced. He's made some money, and he's doing well for himself there. And, Joey, we're talking about a kid that was a wrestler at Missouri, kind of limited handwork. Master Mitter Gill at Extreme Couture did some great work with him over the years. Then he moves to San Diego. Really, everything that this kid has done in his career has been the right move and worked out perfectly for him, really.
Yeah, well, not just that. I mean, he's fought some tough guys on the way up. I mean, his 5th, 6th fight. I mean, he was in there with Marcin Held.
Yep.
He was in there with Patrici. And then Alvarez, I mean, it was about his 10th fight, 10th fight, Gono, Rick Hahn. I mean, he's beaten some real, he's beaten names, guys that could easily headline any of these other smaller Bellator cards or, be on an Ultimate Fight night, basically.
I think the difference in this fight is, Chandler has the wrestling background and pedigree, and his stand-up is just so damn good. His cardio is good. He's the complete package. I got a lot of respect for Eddie Alvarez, but I think that Michael Chandler wins this fight. So you know that Chandler's a friend of the program, so we can't leave out a good friend of yours and a guy who's been on the show in the past, King Mo, looking for redemption. Now, he was like an 18-1 favorite the first time around against Emmanuel Newton. What's the number right now, Joey?
Right now, King Mo is just about a 4-1 favorite. You're going to be looking at 6-1. Mo's going to beat him this time around. I don't know. How do you train for a spinning back fist? He put his hands down. He got cocky. I guess he got nailed. He lost the fight. He accepts responsibility for getting nailed, and he got clipped good. But I think he wins this fight. He'll get his revenge. King Mo's pissed right now, so I think that sometimes it motivates guys, sometimes it doesn't. But I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a pissed King Mo.
No, and we've seen King Mo get back to basics a little bit in past fights, going back to the ground and pound, and you just stick with what you know and what got you there. I know he trains at the Mayweather gym, but don't get carried away and think that you're a boxer now. Yet, really, Joey, there's no such things as gifts when we're talking about betting. But considering he was an 18-1 favorite last time around, if you can get minus 400, that's a pretty damn good price on King Mo, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know a dummy who laid 11-1 on King Mo. Hindsight, that being me in the first fight, and the only person that hurt more than Mo was me. But it happens. I mean, rear view mirror. I think he wins the rematch. I think the price is reasonable. He can lay 4-1. I'm not a big parlay guy, so I just say lay it straight. I think Mo wins his fight. Coach Kevin Jackson, Iowa State. He tweeted out afterwards. Mo, just stick to what you know.
Exactly. No, exactly. And, Joe, you know that I do like my MMA parlays. And I'm looking at King Mo in the minus 400, 500 range with Chandler at minus 200. Already we got a parlay right there. Let's not discount Newton, though. Newton's a decent fighter, Joey.
No, he's a game fighter. He's going to be in this fight. To think the Mo's going to steamroll him would be naive. I mean, there might be a little bit of a sweat here. Mo's last fight, when he drops his hands, you got to sweat because he's been, the truth is he's been knocked out twice. So you got to worry about that in this fight. Newton was one of those guys, but I think if Mo keeps his chin tucked and his hands up and he takes him down, it shouldn't be much of a problem. You can't teach that caliber of wrestling that quick, and despite him not doing too much of it in the first bout, I think that he'll go back to basics this time.
Now they're fighting for the interim championship. And you got to believe that in the future, a King Mo Rampage Jackson fight would be on the horizon. And it's almost too bad that Mo was locked into this because, these two guys, I don't know if they really dislike each other that much because it seems like they've hung around quite a bit over the years. But, it seems like they've sort of been on a collision course or on a path to fight each other. So I think that'll be interesting. As far as Tito Ortiz is concerned, who knows about Tito Ortiz? So we got Pat Curran, Joey. I know that at times you haven't been the biggest Pat Curran fan, but you know what? The dude's been getting it done for a couple of years now. He gets Daniel Strauss. What kind of number are we looking at here? I like Curran in this fight.
Curran's made me a believer. Right now, time we're recording he's about a 3-1 favorite, a little over 3-1 favorite. I could see him going higher. In fact, I think he should be probably a little bit higher. Strauss is pretty tough, but Curran's kind of to me, Curran's the company guy. He came in at the beginning. He's been running through everybody, and I think he'll beat Daniel Strauss. Strauss had some legal problems. Some of these guys on the Bellator roster have encountered, similar hiccups, and I think that's a huge distraction. I like Pat Curran.
Joe, we got about a minute and a half here. What about the other two fights? We got the Fight Master Finals. Joe Riggs makes it to the finals, and we got a great first fight to get the card started, the main event started with Mike Richmond versus Stepnian.
I said earlier to you before we got on the air that this Mike Richmond does one thing, really, really good besides win. He loses the Russians. And this, being a Marine and all, it kind of gives me less confidence in maybe the U.S. military. But all joking aside, this Stepnian, the Russian kid has been the underdog in his last 3 fights, I believe. So it's not like he's going out, it's the first time he's a favorite, and he's almost a 2-1 favorite. And I tell you what, there's always what I say, or what I think could be wrong favorites on the card. This could be one of them. I think Richmond's got a legitimate shot to beat him. I think this bout's a toss-up.
I like Richmond as well, and we got about 30 seconds here, Joey. The Fight Master Series, I will admit, I watched very, very small amounts of this program.
You know, same here. I don't watch these reality shows. I just watch the fights. I would say, you know, if you watch the program, though, for what I've seen in the results, there's another bout on that card that I'm looking at another possible wrong favorite, and that could be Juarez and Williams. The fight where the line's going to drop, obviously. They always do after I say this, but I think that Joe Williams is very capable. Unless I'm really, really missing something here, I think Joe Williams should be the favorite in this fight against Jesse Juarez.
Joey Oddessa, you can follow him on Twitter at MMA Odds, twitter.com. Joey, you're the best in the business. Always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for the time.
My pleasure, Gabe. Have a good one.
There's Joey Oddessa with us. We'll come back and wrap things up. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. Thanks to Zak Cummings for joining us on the program. Thanks to Joey Oddessa for kicking it with us as well. Remember, for all of my MMA selections, check out SportsRageTV.com. But I do love Michael Chandler this week. I love King Mo to get it done, and I think Pat Curran will win again. We got a favorite parlay to throw down. May the winners be yours. Great job by everyone at the Fight Network. Happy Halloween. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.